Hello, hello, hello. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I am your host, Dr. Jefferson, and today we're going to have a conversation around accountability um, in relation to a very controversial engagement, pre wedding photo shoot, whatever you want to call it. Not sure how many of you have had a chance to kind of sit with it, see it, whatever. If you are on social media and if you are Instagram, um, person, I know that you guys have seen it. If you have watched the news, this has made national news. And it's interesting to me. It's very interesting to me how there are so many different perspectives coming from different countries than the perspectives that are presented and coming from American people, especially the Black American people. Black American women are outraged, to say the least, and we're gonna review some content um, today from CynthiaG and Nyla as they reviewed it and some of the things they had to say, and we're gonna navigate through this because the reality is when we go through and we look at, I guess, the depth of this particular photo shoot, and we look at this couple in its entirety, and we look at how the photo shoot could definitely be representative of several things. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of backstory about some of the things that seem to be so controversial about this as well, because some of the language used in the photo shoot has been the target of a lot of people's discomfort. Okay. So I only got a little bit of time, so let's jump right into this. All right. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. What's going on? Shout out to the chat. Hey, tough love, what's going on with you? What's going on, Casey, K du jour, Money Boy Trey? I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. So, how many of you saw this? Um, and I really feel like I'm gonna show you guys the actual photo shoot apart from CynthiaG and the toxicity over here, but I want to be able to give you guys the full on review of all of this toxic energy over here on CynthiaG's channel, and I want to give you guys her response first, simply because that's what I put as the headliner. So let's get into this. Who's already triggered? Anybody? You feeling away? Any of you feel away? Let's look.
This on social media, advertising their weakness to the world. Do you think that that would ever happen? Do you think that that would ever happen? And then they want to sit up and they'll tell Black women they're bed wrenches. They'll tell you that you're engaging in all of this plantation themed bedroom activities. They will tell you that, and it's projection. Really, it is them. This isn't a dominant man right here, where she's saying days passed and everything changed. Our love got stronger and stronger. They want you to believe that there's some love in a relationship where this woman is making play that she somehow in her heart reformed a slave and saw the humanity in him enough to love him and marry him. And he went along with this. So he's acting out her fantasy. This is him being dominated. And this is because this is what they really want. This is what they really want. They don't want to be dominant. They want to be dominated. And why does he kind of look like Chris Brown from the side profile? Don't he kind of look like him from the side profile though?
Why you gotta start off with the jokes as soon as
He kind of looks like Chris Brown to me. I'm sitting here looking at him and I'm thinking this could literally be Chris Brown in here.
He does, though. It's bad.
I mean, we can look at the other pictures because I want to see if in the other pictures he looks like Chris Brown too. But he definitely looks like Chris Brown in this picture. But look, here, this is the thing about stuff like this, though. Black women need to stop letting Black men tell them anything.
Right.
The Black women let Black men tell them anything. They can sit there and tell you they want to be dominant, they want to be leaders, they're in loving relationships with these women who make them feel like a man. But this is really their position. The fact that he would even do this tells you already Buck is in his DNA. Leadership and dominance is not in his DNA. He's already signaling you, look, this is what I'm created for. Not only am I created to be dominated by women, but I'm also created to be dominated by men. They're just not going to let you, Black women, because they look upon you so poorly. They look upon you so less than. You're the womb that they come from. So obviously he thinks he's less than. That's a given. Any man who's doing this, he feels less than. Mm-hmm. He feels like these women are better than him. That's why he's allowing this to take place, because these women are better. Now, they'll tell you lowly but Black women that you need to submit to them. You're not deserving. You're not good enough. But he's saying, I'll scrape from the bottom just to get a woman of no color to dominate me because I belong beneath her. I am beneath her. Y'all need to start treating these dudes how they allow women of no color to treat them.
And like when just looking at these pictures, to me, these pictures, it's like one of the books that you buy for the little ones before they start reading a picture book, right? So that they can tell the story. Like, what are we saying? This is literally the story of SYSBM, salvation through marriage, right? And it's just crazy because they are literally the biggest supporters of race mixing. This picture could be the thumbnail for that video that you just did about Black men leaving the plantation to go into the arms of white women. To me, this shows a failed patriarchy, the lack of a patriarchy ever coming. This is them confirming themselves as modern day slaves to white women. And just think about what goes in behind all of this, right? He literally just got up off his knees, according to the Broken Blood commentary, or documentary that Tyrese did. He literally just got through blowing the ding dong of her father only to become her husband, right? Because if we're talking about broken bucks, we should only assume that he's had his bussy popped already. And now he's with the daughter and now she's going to save him. But just think about, like, this is a slave man, right? So quite frankly, his children have been sold and he did nothing about that. His wife has probably been sold, raped in front of him, and all of this, but he's finding freedom through this marriage to this white woman.
Yep.
So like, it really it's just disgusting. Like, I think we should start calling these Negroes Kunta Kinte.
No, we really do. We actually really do. I think that, you know, there's a level of cognitive.
I probably should have let you guys hear that last part, as she goes to and ascribes to the same thing as Kevin Samuels and misuses cognitive dissonance. Um, exactly. So let's go ahead. Let's address this. Let's get into this. There are a couple of things here. Cynthia G and Nyla Speaks have been two people that I constantly receive emails from you guys asking me to review. Let's talk about accountability. Look at this video, look at that video, look at these videos, blah blah blah. Okay. I highlighted a couple of the comments that I felt were really important, and I did that for a couple of reasons, okay? Yeah, you guys go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead and share out this content real quick so we can have a conversation, because I do have to get off of here, in an hour. But we're going to have this and we're going to have an in-depth conversation about this. I definitely want to know how you guys feel having seen their photo shoot, shared in these people's experiences and all that good stuff. Now, there was one particular comment that I highlighted over here that spoke to desensitization. Desensitization. I'm looking for the comment. Okay, here we go. So, romanticizing one of the most traumatic moments in human history and Black history. Okay, tough love. Make sure you do that. Don't text and drive. First of all, how can you make American slavery the most traumatic moment in human history, with a world of a population larger than that in American history. How can we do that as black people? How can we do that? The sense of entitlement that is embedded in us is just, it's ridiculous. When I think of it, it's ridiculous. So it's okay for us as black and brown people in America to take someone else's culture and mimic that said culture because we think that that's cute. It's okay for us to do it because we think it's cute. For example, let me give a really good example. Black American women deciding to wear the African head wrap, to dress in African attire, to dress in African attire. Hear me when I speak. Hear me. Let me just make me a little bit bigger real quick. Hold on. Black American women, because that's what you are. You're Black American women. You're not African American women. You are not from Africa. Africa's current culture does not in any way align with you and your culture. Okay? So you take their culture and you mimic it over here for your Juneteenth celebrations, for everything around what you consider to be ancestry for you. What African slave from any depiction of any story have you ever seen in present day African attire? I'll wait. I'll wait. So let me do this. It's okay for you to appropriate their culture. It's okay for you to mimic their culture. It's okay for you to put on a show and take pictures, dress and dance around the issues. You can do all of these things. You can do all of these things. And nobody in Africa is offended. But the moment someone else decides to make slavery and a part of a poem the centralized theme of their wedding photo shoot, pre-wedding photo shoot, you're offended as Black American people. So nobody else can take pieces of history, regardless of what country it's from, and make that the centralized focus. Nobody else can do that but Black people. Is that what you guys are saying? Like, really? Is that what we have? Is that what this has come to? Like, seriously? Make it make sense for me, people. So you have Cynthia G and Nyla Speaks. A Black man has to be gay. He has to be having sex in his ass. He has to be sucking some white man's penis. He has to be doing all of this stuff just because he makes a decision to be with a woman who is not a Black woman. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. If that's your, so why can't we celebrate this young man and this young woman finding peace or identity, humor, romance, whatever it is that they find when they look at this and when they depict, okay, this is the type of photo shoot we want. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with Black women? Answer it for me. Somebody tell me, what's the answer? Why are you so bothered by what a brown man that you don't even know, you have no personal ties to, right? Why are you so bothered with what this man decides to do with his life? Why are you so bothered to the point where you get triggered and you start disrespecting this man that you don't even know? You have no personal relation. You have no idea who this man is, what he stands for, or anything. This, I'm trying really hard to not use very disrespectful language. This female went as far as belittling the people who were viewing her content because she thought that they went against her. in her rhetoric. She's so far off the deep end, it's not even serious. And as she goes back and look at the comment again, and she can't even sit with the fact that she's wrong. So let's look at some of these comments real quick. Let me see how you guys are feeling. At the end of the day, we are all the same species. People can choose who they want and to be with, period. I'm sick of the fake African red. Exactly. What is this thing about him being mixed? I think Dr. Jefferson is about to take them to the woodshed. Listen, why do you guys have to, so why is that Black American culture? Why do you guys feel like you have to dissociate yourself from another Black person because that Black person doesn't align with or subscribe to the ideals that you personally subscribe to? So why would it matter if he was a Black American? Would it matter if he were mixed? What does it mean for him to be mixed if his father were Black and his mom was from Trinidad? Would that matter? Does that matter? That makes it less invasive on the Black culture. Like, people have got to wise up, grow up, mature up. What is that? Where is tough love? As Mario says, adult up. Here's the reality: a Black man can choose to be with whatever woman of whatever color, whatever culture he wants to be with. You know why? He's still a Black king. He is. Why does it bother you so much as a female that he didn't choose you? When you clearly have an issue with submission, you clearly have an issue with Black male leadership, you clearly don't like Black men, according to you. I can only go based off of what you say. If a Black man is all these things, if you feel like Black men do not, ascribe from to a protector role, they're not leaders, you feel like they're all these negative things, right? Why? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? If there are all these negative things, why do you have to find content associated with the Black man in an attempt to tear him down? That is my question for Cynthia G. Make it make sense for me, because I'm finding myself extremely confused here. I'm finding myself extremely confused, and the lack of respect. It's easy for you to say, oh, well, you know what, if Black men disrespect the Black woman, then he's disrespecting the womb in which he came from. Okay, well, go ahead, let's go ahead and flip this, let's get into this. That means that you're disrespecting the nutsack in whence you came. Okay, so you have to have a mutual respect for one another if you expect Black men to respect you, to honor you. And the most important thing is this: you have to honor yourself before you're honoring anyone else. Like, nobody can honor you if you don't honor and value and respect yourself. The way that you honor yourself is reflective of this content right here. It's reflected in this content right here. So hold on a second. Let me let you guys find Cynthia G and her inaccurate correlation. All Black men have to be responsible, by the way, because she's triggered by what this one Black man did and didn't choose her. So he said an elephant can't make a baby with a lion. A Black man can have a baby with a white woman because we're the same species. If it weren't, we wouldn't be making babies at all. I totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like the problem is there is an abundance of Black women who are insecure because they feel unseated. Okay. I feel like these are two specific Black women who feel unseated. And, I hate to wish negative outcomes on anybody, but I want to say this. For Nyla Speaks, I know that there are rumors that she is married to a Black man. Men in general men need two basic things in a relationship. They need two basic things in a relationship. They need to feel respected, and they need to feel needed. Those are the basic things, the basic constructs that will help a man seat himself in his leadership role and his provisional protective role for a woman. The moment these components are in misalignment, okay? The moment they're in misalignment, right? I've never seen his content, so I don't know his race. That's what I'm speaking on. The moment that man is in, his value systems are in misalignment because you don't value those things that he holds near and dear to his humanity. And it's not about black men or white men or Indian men or any man. It's about being a man in general. So that particular gender role requires those components, and at the end of the day, if he can't get those components from you, the internal components of him will start to act out, because he will do whatever it is that's necessary for him to find those particular things. Oftentimes men find themselves in relationships with their women and they feel like, okay, well, I'm secure and I'm seated in my position, and then all of a sudden they find themselves cheating and they can't give the answer as to why they cheated. You know why? The answer has nothing to do with the surface material. It has to do with the more intimate material, the innate material that is intimate on the inside of the man, and the innate material that is reactive, and how it combines in its communication from that woman. So if you don't give that man what he needs, the same way if he doesn't meet your emotional needs, somebody is going to be the person that is acting out because those things are going unaddressed, unfulfilled. Okay. So let me hit this play button really quick.
Dissonance in Black women, and I've been saying it quite a bit. And I think that cognitive dissonance is because they don't see every single Black man engaging in this behavior. And you don't need to see every single Black man engaging in this behavior. You can literally look at the outcome of the relationships and the position they're in society. These are men who are comfortable being subjugated and on the bottom. So if they're comfortable being subjugated and on the bottom to men of no color, knowing that men of no color comes from the womb of women of no color, then obviously they're going to allow some women of no color to dominate them. Mm-hmm. The position, yep. They will sit up here and they will convince you that they're going over here so they can be dominated because they're real men and they just need a submissive woman who is going to make them feel like the man that he is. But who's submissive in this scenario?
Definitely him. I mean, and doesn't she look like she might as well be Jesus?
Yep. And like, look at him. He's in the Chaco.
Where are they drawing these references? No, I don't think that she knows the definition of cognitive dissonance. I think that she's probably Googled a generalized reference and then she doesn't know the importance of it on the psychological scale. It's interesting. Anybody can sound like they're educated, but it is what it is. It make it make sense to me. So why can't it be that this is a woman who is admiring her man in his work? Why can't it be that this particular couple feels like they're drawing symmetry when it comes to enslavement? Because let me tell you something, the dating process and the world of dating and the world of vetting and courting at this point in life, it's a form of slavery because you're putting in a tremendous amount of work for a black man. And I'm gonna say this because it needs to be said. A black man is putting in a tremendous amount of work and he's getting no return oftentimes. And then finally, when he does find a return, it feels like you have been released from the bondage of slavery. Now you can be free because now you're free to move into a space where you're choosing the woman that you feel like was made for you, created for you. You're spiritually aligning yourself with the person that gives you a greater purpose in life, the person that makes you feel fulfilled. So why does it matter so much to black women what that woman looks like? It's beyond me. It's beyond me. If you don't have a man in your life, ladies, who has chosen you, that's not that man's fault. It's not men's fault in general. Have you ever thought that maybe it's just not your time, or maybe you're not in an emotionally matured enough space for you to receive that man? Because these are not women who are emotionally mature to vet or court or contain what it takes to keep a relationship healthy and strong. I don't understand how this guy Taz is married to Nyla, but it's a lot of things that happens behind closed doors. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's watch this.
and all. He allowed her to put him in shackles. So here's the thing. I feel like this is black man's DNA screaming out to tell us what they were doing on that plantation. This is why you were on it for so long. And you can look at what happened after. How many of them sent themselves to meet their makers once they realized they were off the plantation?
Mm-hmm. And that's probably why a woman is known as one of the biggest revolters and to be freeing slaves, because Harry wanted off this plantation, but evidently black men wanted to be on the plantation with Becky or Missy Ann or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So and the thing that they didn't have 3 trash bags. So would it be? I think they said they're called burlap sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Would they have to? He should have 3 burlap sacks above his head, full of cotton.
But somebody said something about Little House on the Prairie. This is not Little House on the Prairie. That's not what this is. This is something that you would see on FetLife, on the FetLife website, where these are men who deeply, deeply desire to be done.
His ranch, when y'all dealing with the coronavirus, I'm gonna be up. You know what I'm saying? It's like these dudes are running for protection instead of liberation. Instead of trying to build a patriarchy and instead of trying to earn respect in their communities, they are hiding underneath the master's daughter.
Yeah, because that's the most comfortable place for them. They're nesters. I want to show you guys this dude's profile, though. I want to show you his profile. So hold on, let me stop sharing the screen really quickly. I'm going to share this dude's profile. And it's funny because a lot of people in the comment sections, they want to say, oh, this is funny. He's Uncle Ruckus, Django Unchained. It's cool to kiki cackle, but this is literally the men within our group. This is literally the men that we're dealing with. Nobody else has to look at pictures. When you know that you're dealing with systemic oppression now, you're just fresh out of Jim Crow. Before that, you were on the plantation for hundreds of years. The men did nothing, didn't protect you from anything, were too weak to even protect themselves and their children. Let an outside group just run roughshod through their community, do whatever they wanted to their community, and they're still doing it. This is no laughing matter to me.
It's not funny.
This is to me, this isn't a laughing matter at all. This should tell you the reality of the men that we're dealing with. Any man in his right mind wouldn't even engage in anything like this for play, nor would he even desire to be with a woman who wanted this to happen. So this tells you a lot about these men. And it's really, like, honestly, it's not funny. This isn't funny. This isn't funny to me. And I notice how he deleted, like, those pictures ain't on his thing. Let me see if somebody put something under his. Yeah, he got this dude. Let me tell you something. This dude took the comments off of a lot of these pictures because he already know people want to roast. He already knows people want to drill him. Let me show you this one where he's over here. Let me show you this picture because this is him. He has a public profile on here. Do y'all not see the overwhelming essence of Sugar Booty Bandit on him?
Yeah.
This isn't masculinity. He's not a dominant man. Not even in the least bit. I already told you guys, like, look at this.
Oh my God. Girl, come on now.
All right. So that's why I was trying to get you guys to, so we can have a discussion about this, because this conversation is for Black and brown people. as it relates to the way that we see ourselves and the way that we shame other people, other races of people for seeing us. Okay. Clearly, clearly, this man right here is not the same man that is on those pictures. Just in case you guys have not drawn symmetry just yet. Okay. This is not the same guy. But you find it so problematic for interracial relationships to exist that you have to go find any black man that you can see, any brown man that's on the computer screen with a white woman, and because you are so hurt, you're so bent out of shape by this man's choice and how or who he wants to spend his time, and you understand what I'm saying, that any black man with a white woman is that man. You see all of these men as the same and you see that as an issue. It's really interesting to me. Why can't you be happy for him having found love? Period. It doesn't matter if he finds it in a white woman or a black woman or Hispanic woman or Asian woman, whomever he finds it in. Why can't you just be happy for this man's love? Also, where are you drawing symmetry? Where are you saying that this man allowed this woman to put shackles on him? Where did that happen? So I must have missed something because I've looked through all the pictures. I clicked through. I don't see her putting anything on him. I don't see anything being put on him. They referenced a poem that was from long ago, and they made this the centralized theme of their pre-wedding photo shoot. If this had been black people, I'm just going to put it out there. If this had been black people and they decided to have a slavery themed photo shoot for their pre-wedding photo shoot, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The world would not be outraged. Black people have got to stop feeling so entitled to everything that happens as a part of American history. American history is a part of world history. World history can be reenacted by anybody in the world. Whoever wants to make it the centralized theme of their focus can make it their centralized theme of their focus. It is not exclusive to black people. It's just not. What's wrong with us? It's so thanks, Kay DeJour. How are you guys feeling about these pictures? How do you feel about the fact that this woman has drawn symmetry in a whole different guy? You made this man responsible for this. And then she went so far as to say that this man is gay and he's feminine and all of this stuff. It's easy for you to say that they did it for social media attention, but guess what? We can't say that. If that's the case, everybody who does a pre-wedding photo shoot, period, is doing it for social media attention. We didn't say that about the black man proposing to the black woman with a choice of four different rings here in Atlanta. We didn't say that about that situation. Why? Because it was a black man and a black woman and it equated to black excellence. But nobody ever said this man did it for social media attention, and he made national news as well. We have to stop. And this was just a month ago, right? Like a month and a half ago when he did that. Took her on a helicopter ride and proposed to her on top of the building. I think the King and Queen buildings or something like that in Atlanta, and had her choose from four different wedding rings because she's a black woman. It's okay for them to make a public engagement photo shoot or whatever or something like that that draws national attention, but it's not okay if these people choose a different theme and make that the centralized focus of theirs. To me, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Slavery is a concept, it's a mind space, it's a sense of being, it is a state of being. Many people are still in bondage to this day because they're in bondage and they will not allow themselves to elevate beyond their thoughts, the negative perceptions that they maintain about the world around them and the way they see themselves in that said world. That's true bondage. So if you feel like you are a slave, you are a slave. Everybody wants attention when they're going to be engaged. Everybody. Marriage is a beautiful thing. The coming together of two spirits is a beautiful thing. Multiple spirits is a beautiful thing. It's to be. Why do you think you invite guests to your wedding? Anybody out here got married and didn't invite any guests? I'm just curious about that. What about when you decided that you wanted to get engaged? How many people nowadays? I could probably go through a shitload of social media videos, okay, of people posting their engagements on social media and their pre-wedding photo shoots. This isn't uncommon. So to say they wanted attention is it's illogical. They wanted the same amount of attention that everybody else wants when they're about to announce that they're engaged to someone, that they're ready to put their courtship days behind them. They're ready to move into a different position in life. The reality is, Black people are triggered because Black women in particular feel like they are losing out on something. Black men actually have sat through and allowed these types of Black women to unseat them in their royalty. So you feel a way about what other people say about you as a result of what this person is doing. This Black man right here is in a relationship with a white woman and he's been accused of being gay just because he's a separate Black man and he just because he's Black, he fits the description. And it's not even the same guy. It's not even it's not even the same guy. Okay? He said a lot of people just go to courts and they get married without crowds or events after that. When people go to courts, it's plenty of witnesses there. The courts here in Atlanta, everybody's in the same room and everybody's repeating the vows simultaneously on Fridays in Fulton County. And we're all in attendance, the people that work there, watching. So, no. Uh-uh. Not buying it. The abundance of people who are constantly posting their engagements, their proposals, their weddings, the videos of their weddings. People want to be celebrated. Love is something that is to be celebrated. It's something that's honored. It's an amazing occasion. Said it almost seems like she was dating him and he chose the other woman. Right. Why is she so worried about the man? Exactly. And why is she so worried about Black men in general? And why the name calling? Why do you have to call a Black man gay? Why do you have to call him anything less than strong? Why does he have to be anything less than resilient? A spirit of a force of reckoning, right? Why does he have to be lesser than? I don't know. You know, I kind of feel like she definitely has an obsession, but I feel like she has trauma associated with Black men due to what we see as evident, her relationship with whatever YouTuber got her pregnant and still didn't make her a wife. I think women have to stop behaving in ways that lead them to be single mothers without fathers present. And then we can move past this trauma associated with Black men choosing whatever race of woman that he chooses. You know, whatever he ensues is his choice. It's his business. Says she claims she is divested from Black men, but continue to trash us every chance. I I doubt it. I can't. How old is that child? So no. I doubt it. I think that she's broken for sure. Um, I doubt very seriously there is any man that is going to marry this type of woman the way she presents right now. Period. This version of a woman is not worthy of a marriage. Period. I don't think it's only about, let me tell you something. If this was purely about money for Cynthia G, she would not have gone off on a tangent, which you guys are about to see in a moment. You know what I mean? I'm about to. If this was only about money for her, she would not have gone off on this tangent on these viewers. This is personal. This personally triggered her. But like I said, it personally triggered lots of people. We see, hold on, let me share my other screen real quickly. Let's see. All right, so can you guys see this? Hope I'm making it big enough. Hold on. There we go. Well, I don't know if it's white women's hair that it resembles or if it's Indian and Asian women, hair for the most part, but I personally think this is beautiful. You can clearly see this woman removing the shackles. How is it that she sees this as her putting the shackles on this guy? And if you look at the caption, you see, let me go back to the part of the poem right here. And it's a shame that, the photographer is under fire for this as well. I thought that this was beautiful. Thought it was extremely creative. I thought it was a great theme. I think the symbolism is appropriate. Um, we explored another possibility other than looking at the negative of everything. I think people should be more open to look at the positive connotations that happen in life. You cannot have positive energy and you can't produce and put positive energy into the world if you're a negative person in general. So, it is what it is. I love it. So, you know, I don't know about you guys, but, you know, I'm here for it. All right. Like, I'm here for love. Whoever is in love, whoever they choose, I'm 100% for it. Doesn't matter what color they are, how tall they are, how short. Well, I'm not going to tell that lie. Really short people. I have something to say about that when the man is very short, but that's about the only thing. You said, I find the photos a bit weird. I don't see any positivity about the thing. So let me ask you this question, right? And I feel like that's a great way to help people do honest self reflection. Why? Why do you think you see only negative connotations associated with the photos? Answer that question first. And then I have a follow up question.
I
Right.
already told y'all the sugary essence on these men when they are in. And if you want to know if that's him, here it is.
He looks
Now you
Yeah,
know it's
real
him.
masculine to me.
he didn't had that bussy pop several times. You could see he has the essence of one that has been popped.
By the
Girl,
way, like I
Yeah,
said, this
his
is a
bussy
different
and his
couple.
mouth got popped. Somebody ran that throat too.
That's sad.
mhm. She looks more masculine than he does.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally has a more masculine face. A more like her. Wow. Look at him.
There's literally no, and this is what I'm saying, there's no masculinity in these men. Look at this.
He is a dusty damsel. Oh my God. Look at him. Is that Kevin Samuels?
This is Kevin Samuels
Exactly,
Jr.
Katie Jar.
Girl.
But a lot of them probably don't even see it, because if you can't see that the kitten, and look at what he put. He quotes MLK Jr. because this is the only thing that's beneficial to them. And he limited the comments on here too. He probably limited them from anybody who's going to tell him about his pathology or say anything real. But he quotes that I have a dream that one day little black girls and boys will be holding hands with little white boys and girls. This is the main reason why most black people, including black men, went along with.
Okay, so what I'll say is this. Let me skip and then pause. What I'll say is this. I like the fact that this particular couple, even though they are not the same couple as the one that we see in pre-wedding photo shoot, even though she misstated that, to not see why this couple, who is an interracial couple, who obviously are very much in love with one another, have posted you know, a direct quote from Dr. King, is because they realize that we are descendants of people from integration. We are not descendants of slaves. That's the reality. Black American people are descendants from integration. So, what that means is your ancestors fought for inclusion, not exclusivity. And inclusion means that you have a right to choose whatever it is you want to choose for your preferences in life, but also whoever you want to choose when it comes to your preference in love. And so it is what it is. Hey, Miss Faith, how are you? Let me do this. And let's see. Danielle said, and men did get killed due to white women. Men or black men? Yes, black men did lose their lives, but that was a different time than it is now. So we are now so far removed from that mindset. So you said slavery had no positive, so to try to romanticize it is inappropriate because that's interesting. So I talked about my great great grandparents, and my great great grandmother was a slave and her husband was a slave master. And it's interesting when she gave us her story, it wasn't a story that said it was beyond romanticism. It was a story of love. These are two people that fell in love and they could see beyond bondage. So even back then, even though so many of you young people now who are far removed from your history and your ancestry and its truth, you take one version of one person's history and you make that the centralized theme of what slavery is, was, and you have no real life experience of it. So it's interesting to me that people adopt those mindsets. You will adopt the negative connotation before you see anything that is viable or positive out of it. If slavery was so detrimental to black people, post segregation would not have been something where we eventually integrated, and that was a point of contention for people who were actually descendants of slaves. So I have to say this, when I hear things like that, I want to know how connected you are with your history, because the reality is everybody's story was not the same in slavery. Some people suffered more than others did. However, those people who did suffer, they still found positive aspects to being a part of the movement, because slavery was a movement. It's not as it's projected in American history. And slavery is something that impacted the entire world, not just American history. But American Black people are the only people who are making themselves out to be the victim, even decades and decades, centuries later. You want to find a way to make yourself the victim. You want to find a way to make yourself lesser than so that you're not accountable for being greater. And it's very interesting to me that Black people do that here. And you do that so
Mhm.
much that you don't even realize that there are Black people, Black American people, not slaves, but the descendants of slaves, Black American people who lost their lives in the civil rights movements so that you could have an opportunity to one day integrate successfully and without ridicule, without judgment, and without name calling. And what I see here is the exact opposite. So it's very interesting to me. All of it is very interesting to me. So, what I say is people without accurate insight, not education, but accurate insight, because some people can be miseducated. If everything that you have comes from a textbook and that's it, you should be asking yourself, why am I only getting things from a textbook? Where are my ancestors' journals? Let me give you guys a very intimate look at this. In America, only in America were slaves responsible for educating their slave owners' offspring. That should tell you something about the misinformation that you have received. Because if slaves were not allowed to be educated, if slaves were not intelligent, if slaves were seen as lesser than, right? There is no way that slave masters would have allowed these slaves to educate their offspring. They just would not have. Slave masters were educated by slaves as to how to keep slaves intact and in check because they came from slavery. They didn't buy them as free people, they bought them as slaves. They were already in bondage. So I think that if you guys, do more research and you find yourself more connected and tethered to what slavery in America really was, only slavery in America ended up in a place, in a space where people could go forth and integrate without being ridiculed for their space previously held. Only in American slavery. But slavery existed everywhere. So the only place that slavery led to romanticism was right here. That's world history for you. So it is something definitely to be celebrated. But when you've been conditioned to see slavery as a negative connotation associated with your existence, you're right. When you see something like this, the only thing you see is negative. You cannot come into a place of understanding of why someone would do that because maybe these other people have more education, deeper insight than what you have. You said there are a bunch of nasty things I could say about Sanji, but I prefer to take the high road. I agree. I agree. I mean, it was very disheartening for me to see exactly Refron, and still is not just black men either. It says my grandma was a slave and she told us some very interesting stories. She was in the house and she wasn't. Exactly. Exactly. Did they just say bussy and throat? Exactly. When I tell you, that was the only time that I realized that when, Kevin Samuels is defending himself against certain people, I can understand it when he says, you know, the only thing they can say is call me gay, because I do feel like these types of people, this is what they resort to. This is what they resort to. Name calling and shaming a person is not going to make your point. If you're going to argue the point, argue the point. And the point here is this: you have two women who have gone and insulted this man and this woman. This is not even, these aren't even, this isn't even the couple that's on the photo shoot, you guys. But she just found a black and white couple, and these people are now her point of contention, and has called this man gay, called him feminine, called his woman masculine. You picked out one picture for you to be able to say that, okay, this person is a particular thing. Like the fact that you're picking through and you want to pick apart these people's relationship when you're a person without a relationship is very interesting to me. The insecurity shows, and you're wearing it on your forehead, on your sleeve, on your clothes, on your shoes, everywhere around you. And it's just sad. Says there was absolutely nothing positive about slavery, so how can you expect anyone to see positivity about photo shoots like this? Well, I think that depends on what your slave ancestors told you versus what mine have told me. So my slave ancestors' direct connections, I have to say, the ones that I've sat down and talked with, those who were responsible for cultivating and shaping my understanding, you know, every one of them shared their story, and it wasn't a negative story. So I think it really just depends on whose story you're buying into and where that story came from. Anybody can paint a picture. We can both be looking at a scene at the same time and we get something completely different from it. Our experiences are based on our perception, our perceptions are based on our conditioning. If you've been conditioned to look at slavery as a negative thing and you are 100% free person, even though you're so far evolved from slavery, that's you. If you know, hey Kimbo, how are you? So that's just what it is. I'm a person who is positive and I am also insightful. I have a tremendous amount of education and insight, and I've done a tremendous amount of research in various countries, not of various countries. So I'm a person that believes in gaining an understanding and being curious. And I know that there are people who have gone through slavery both in America and abroad who don't have that same negative connotation that most black American people subscribe to, or they say they subscribe to. So the reality is, hey, official urban therapist, how are you? The reality is this: your actions will dictate where you sit on these issues. It will dictate what your perceptions are, and your actions will also dictate what your cultural upbringing was and where it came from. Apparently, if you're a person in America who is a Black American person and you see slavery as a negative thing, that means you're a person who was conditioned to believe that you were lesser than. Inferiority complex is real, and it does come from your textbooks that also oftentimes misinterprets an overarching view of what slavery was. It doesn't give you enough purviews for one, and it doesn't give you enough information for, from the people's mouths who were actual descendants of slaves for two. It only takes the negative connotation from everything. That's it. So if slavery was such a bad thing, nobody would have ever gone forth and built a Black Wall Street. Exactly. Whole different couple. And has called this man gay, called this woman masculine.
Like you can literally see it when they're in these relationships. This is what matters to them. It's not any liberation.
My mouth is like, my jaw is dropped. This is, oh my God. Like he's got a matching Kitten Hills purse. He's sitting there. Wow.
I agree, Mr.
What
Brooks.
in the LGBTQ is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Comments are
She
very
said,
much
"What in the
limited because you can't even
LGBTQ is
see
going on here?
beyond certain
Are you
things.
serious?"
But
And the
you know,
braid hanging down in his face like that.
mhm.
So now his hair
Someone
is
said
longer?
he even has the audacity to quote MLK. He's rolling in his grave right now. No, he's not. No, I don't think so. I don't think MLK is rolling in his grave. And why are they tagging Umar Johnson? Like, what do they think Umar Johnson is going to do? Like, I don't really understand that. Like, what do y'all think Umar Johnson is going to do?
Yeah, if Umar Johnson is saying that mixed children are black, then there's nothing wrong with this to him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they can run him some donations. This is why being for black people is so diminished with black men, because they can turn off and turn on the pro-blackness at any moment. Like, he can literally sit up there and quote MLK with this woman and be pro-black for a day.
No, this is the portrait of pro-blackness. Remember, they're going to go start their own struggle community full of confused biracial children. They're going to go start the new black community with their Nubian queen. Shavandra said, I don't know if this has been said, but it's like a YouTube man dressed up as a Holocaust person kissing the hand of the female Nazi in front of the gas chambers. Who? Oh, somebody. I just let me say something though. Okay, let me read this over.
She read it twice and still overreacted.
I don't know why you would have to, and I feel like this is like a subconscious thing, and sometimes conscious that a lot of black women do. If we're talking about this black man, what would make you feel like you should come in here and tell us what a man of no color is doing? Giving a false equivalency, because see, the difference is that men of no color have global power, so they can dress up as whatever they want to. They can dress up as whatever they want to. They have global power.
Okay, so let me stop right there. So as black people, and this goes to the comment of the person who sees slavery as a negative connotation as well. As black people, if you continue to put yourself in a position to where you feel like you're lesser than and you maintain this inferiority complex, what will happen is you will be the detriment of yourself. You're not going to be the detriment of a culture of people, because the culture of people who identify with black and the brown community in America, those people will be seated, will remain seated in who they are, in their individuation, in their cultural identity, and you cannot move them from that, because their knowledge and their insight and their curiosity will keep them seated. But what you have to understand is that you will reap what you sow, because if your seeds that you're sowing are of lesser than, right, and you are placing other people way above you, and you're putting them on this pedestal to where they have way more worth than you, and you're talking about white men have global worth and global value and global wealth, why are you positioning another person, another culture of a person, another being above the valuation that you have for self and your own culture? To me, black people only look to be victims, because being a victim gives them some level of entitlement to something from someone else. When do you take accountability for what your own individual person, your value systems for what you do, and when do you align yourself with the value that you see in yourself without having to make a comparison to someone else, or without having to tear down someone else? Because that says autonomy. When you have to go and tear this couple down, you have to go and tear this black man down, and you have to pick apart this couple, and you have to pick apart this man and say, oh, well, why is his hair hanging in his face like that? That means he's gay. You cannot be grown ass women that are in your 40s. What is Cynthia G? 40 years old, 42 years old? You're a whole child. You're a whole child. Make it make sense for me, people. Make it make sense for me. I just I don't understand. But come on, let's hear her really quick go off on this person real quick.
Power. It does nothing for even if a man of no color wanted to put himself on a plantation, it wouldn't matter. They have global dominance. So I just don't know why you're in here telling us about what a man of no color is doing as we're sitting up here talking about the most powerless, conquered, sugar booty, wide open, dominated men on the group of the face of the planet. Like, why would you be telling? It's not the same. It's literally not the same. And that's why I say there's a problem in the mindsets of some Black women who do this. You know, you came in here to say, oh, look, a man of no color was doing it. I don't know if it's being said. It doesn't need to be said because it doesn't even matter. It's a moot point. Are you really in here trying to convince me that it's the same when a man of no color
Veterans United presents Through the Roof Reviews with Rob Riggle.
We're here with
Yeah, the ignorance is definitely crazy. Really. Oh my God. I just can't. Let me tell you something. I feel like the ignorance is rampant on Instagram, on her YouTube video. They had this discussion. It was interesting to me because CynthiaG is going off on this person and they were just basically trying to make a draw symmetry and agree with her. But she was so hurt. Okay. She couldn't even see the symmetry being drawn. Even after she has read this thing twice over, she still was bothered. So it says that the deeper issue is that she's disturbed by the fact that this Black man has attached himself to a white woman. And then even when they proved her wrong that she had the wrong couple up, right? When she bought that separate couple up on her Instagram, she still had the same energy. Oh, he's gay too then. Because he has a white woman. How does a white woman equate to a man being gay? Because a white woman doesn't have a penis. She's still a woman. She still has a vagina. It doesn't matter. So my problem, here's my thing. My problem is this. Black women, you need to find meaningful ways to rise above and identify your insecurities, okay? So first identify your insecurities. Call a thing a thing. If you really do have a problem with Black men being in a relationship with a woman who is not a Black woman, or you don't consider to be a Black woman, because many of you don't consider me to be a Black woman, and that's fine. You know, sit with and believe and see life the way that you prefer. However, understand this. Women who are not of the Black and brown community, who don't identify, they're not concerned about you. They're not. They're not. These men who are marrying whatever kind of women they're marrying, whether the woman is Black and Asian, or Asian and Asian, or German or French, or whatever she is, these men are not concerned about you either. They're not checking about you. They're not checking for you either. So the biggest problem is this. When you seat yourself and rest yourself in your insecurities, it shows in the way that you move and you communicate and you add value or don't, or you take away from value in the community as a whole. So be secure that you've identified your insecurities and that you're working on them if that's what you choose to do. Step away from the table if you don't want to identify your insecurities. If it really bothers you that much that a Black man is rested and married to, in love with a white woman, or whatever woman he chooses to be in love with, figure out why that is. I don't know. His relationship has nothing to do with you or your validity or your value. I just don't understand that. Yeah, she have a son, and I feel so sorry for him every single day, because Not only is her son having to grow up with the chaos and the negativity and toxicity she has as a woman, but also the toxicity and the negativity that she has in relation to that father, that other YouTuber, whoever he is, choosing not to marry her, right? And making her a single mother. Says Africans who come to, let's go back to the comment because I didn't see many of them. Uh, Africans who come to America are currently outperforming Black Americans in all academics. Why do you think this is? The reason is because Africans have a great sense of security in their cultural identity, but also they take education very seriously. And they definitely educate their kids. They start at home and they allow the school system to continue the process for their kids. And they don't have these insecurities because they know exactly where they come from, and they don't reject parts of where they come from because they're trying to identify with something else because it looks like it's a greater sense of purpose. So I don't take them serious because I understand at the end of the day, they're using this just to make their money. Mm-mm. I just can't. I can't agree with that. I feel like based off of what we saw in the way Cynthia G responded just now, I showed you guys kind of like the end part. Based on that, this is personal for this woman. It is personal for her. She is personally hurt, and every single time she sees a black man align himself with a woman that is not black or fully black, I don't know, she feels less and less validated. Um, Katie says, has anyone noticed that she never speaks about the dusty beta male that knocked her up? Right. That definitely has a lot to do with it. But so I hope that you guys took something from this video. Hopefully it resonated. Continue to share your insights and your thoughts. I understand that there are so many black women who are triggered by the actions of this couple, but let me tell you something. I promote love. I support love, whatever it looks like. It doesn't have a color for me. Human beings are human beings. To go to what one of the commenters said here today, people are just people. You all bleed the same, and guess what? When we perform surgeries on you, when we cut you open, you all look the same on the inside. So there is no difference between black people and white people. The only difference is in your mind, perceptively. You don't, if you don't see yourself in this way, nobody else can see yourself in that way. So nobody else can value you. Yeah, Mike, you know what? You got to go back and rewind to the beginning. It has definitely been an interesting show. Um, says, this is where I agree with Chronicles of Judah when he says it's about culture. So it depends on, I agree with the hive mindset component, but it depends on what you consider to be culture. If you are from a particular country, you will be shaped around, specific social constructs. Those social constructs that you are shaped in that particular country guides your culture and subculture because it's based off of what you're exposed to. We are conditioned, and we perceive life around us based on the way that we're conditioned. And so if you've been conditioned, if you guys had never known anything about what most textbooks wrote about slavery, most of you black American people would not feel so entitled. You wouldn't walk inadequately in these spaces where you don't know your worth and you're completely removed from your culture that you continue to live in every day. That's the reality. That's the reality. Definitely, you'll have to rewind it. How are you, anti-Afro Sphingalis? Um, so those are my thoughts, you guys. Continue to share your thoughts and reflections with me. Let me know what you think about this content. Tell me what you think about their review. Tell me how you think the last couple that was misidentified. tell me what you think they feel now as a result of having been outed in this way. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there, because if they're out there, they could definitely sue her for defamation. So it is what it is. You are very welcome. So that is all I have, you guys. I gotta run for this 3:15. See you guys later. Bye.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bunny. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.